If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The Moore Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.
Absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Nice to be here.
So Malcolm, for our audience to begin with, just tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes, I mean, as a young boy, I've always had this fascination for all things weird and wonderful, but I never thought there were any validity to these stories of ghosts, of poltergeists, of UFOs. I didn't think there were anything valid in these stories at all.
No.
And it wasn't until I had my own personal experiences as a young boy, and it wasn't until 1979 when I formed my own society entitled Strange Phenomena Investigations that I really decided there and then to start looking properly at the whole fantastic world of the paranormal. So it's been a long journey, Kevin.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we just name one point that sparked your interest then in this whole journey that you've been on, what would that be?
I guess, I mean, as a young boy at primary school, I read this book here. It's called The Man from Mars. It's the first time anybody's ever seen this publicly.
Okay.
And reading this as a young boy, it sparked this inquiring mind about people coming from the stars, people coming from different planets. Yeah. And I guess it probably was this, Kevin, that really fueled the fire of this interest. Yeah.
And do you still think they come from Mars, or...?
Who knows? Who knows? It's a big question.
Yeah. Well, let's go through some of these pictures to begin with. And the first is what I want to start with, this picture here. And if you just describe to us what the audience is looking at here.
Well, basically, this was taken in a back garden in Alloa in Clackmannanshire, in central Scotland, back in 1970, 71, 72. And the lady visited a psychic medium in Edinburgh.
Yep.
And the medium says, "Can I come to you, lady?" And she went, "Me? Yes, you.
Yep.
Spirit's telling me that you have a photograph in an old tin in your bedroom with a purple ribbon tied." No, not me. So she went back home and she then went to her bedroom, opened that drawer, and she forgot she did have this tin of lots of old photographs. And she picked it up. Yep. This is an enlargement, actually, of the photograph. Your viewers are looking. What I'd like to direct your viewers to is a secondary face. This is her son in the photograph here, but the secondary face, you can quite clearly see what the spirit contours of a spirit child in this garden. And we found out later that this was a little boy who actually died in an accident in that road. So
that boy was recognised?
He was recognised, yeah. And he had died some years previously in this road, and he's turned up in this photograph. And she went, as I said, to the spiritualist who told her that's where it would be.
Incredible. And this is, okay, so the next pictures we've got that you've got on this table are, okay, let's put them up on screen now. So, and if you just describe some of these pictures.
If you look at the bottom left-hand corner one, firstly, it shows a lady who, her husband had passed the spirit a few weeks prior to this photograph being taken, and she doesn't like smoking. Nobody's allowed to smoke in her house. Yeah. And here in this photograph, you've got this wispy-like smoke appearing in the top left-hand corner of this photograph, bottom left, as your viewers are looking at. Is this spirit? Or is it just some camera flaw? The emulsion, skeptics would say it's an emulsion flaw because this was pre-digital. The other photographs that you're looking at, bottom right-hand corner, the chap took a photograph of this gravestone, Diane, for a family tree. Took the photograph, and then suddenly this light appeared. This strange light appeared, and he captured it on photograph. Is it lens flare? Skeptics have said maybe there are broken glass in the shrubbery, and the flash has illuminated the glass to create this lens flare effect. Or is it spirit? And this is one of the wonderful things that, as a researcher, we have to analyse people and photographs.
And have you ever photographed anything yourself that you couldn't explain? I mean, have you ever produced anything like these kind of photographs? Some
years ago we were doing an investigation in a haunted house in Stirling, and we switched off the lights, the video recorders are going, everything is going, and it's complete darkness, nothing was happening, and then suddenly the whole room illuminated with thousands and thousands of pinpricks of white light, like a children's November the 5th sparkler. We went to the VCR, after about 20 seconds it diminished, pure blackness. Then we went to the VCR, fingers crossed, please. Well, we must have captured that, played the VCR, rewound it back, nothing. And
Right.
it was so, but to see that was fascinating.
And I mean, when you, obviously you've done investigations yourself, paranormal investigations, you've done many, and do you take a medium with you most times, or?
Absolutely. We take a psychic medium with us in all investigations because, I mean, although I have experienced psychic events, I wouldn't say I'm very psychic myself. So the psychic is there as a catalyst to try and get from spirit side who's behind us. Because we try and move these earthbound spirits on from haunted buildings, say, look, you should be here. Somebody else lives in this house. You're upsetting the new tenants.
Yeah.
It sounds fanciful and whimsical, but we try and impress upon these earthbound spirits, Kevin, that there is another place for you to go to.
Right, and what's the sort of general message that they get from the mediums then? I mean, why are these spirits there? I mean,
Well, generally speaking, they have unfinished business. Maybe they just can't believe it, they've passed on. And they're just trying to impress, hey, I'm still alive. And they try to impress upon the people in the family home by moving objects, etc. I'm still here. And it's this desire from spirit side to try and impress that there is this afterlife.
okay, and obviously, you know, we've discussed in this program before subjects like poltergeists. Have you any sort of stories on poltergeists to sort of tell the audience?
Yes, I worked on the famous, re-investigated the famous Socky poltergeist, which initially happened in 1961. A young girl came from Donegal in Ireland over to the family home. She didn't want to move from Ireland to Scotland.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but very briefly, no sooner had she been in our new family home, knocks and bangings come from all the walls in the house. A large linen chest started to vibrate. It didn't stop there. Even when she went to the school. She went to the school and she was pulling her arms down on the desk, and the teacher says, Virginia, stop that, leave your desk. She lifted her arms up and the desk lid was flapping like that. She then went to the teacher with her jotter, with her written essay. There you go, ma'am. And then the teacher in 1961, she had a long cane that used to point to the blackboard, Kevin. It started to vibrate, and this cane started to move up, and it stamped like that on the edge of the table. The teacher's table started to rise up a couple of inches off the floor and started to move round, and full of over 50 school kids. I've re-investigated that case, and he says that happened. It happened. We saw it with our own eyes. A fantastic case of poltergeist activity.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's changed your thinking on these particular subjects. It must have done as time's gone on.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I started out to disprove these subjects, but it's like a big sieve. If you put all the paranormal and ufological stuff in this big sieve, a lot of things will fall through, you know, false things, but you're left with some amazing, genuine cases. Yeah. And all I'm trying to do as a researcher is trying to impress upon people that these things are real.
Sure. So is there any sort of equipment you take with you when you go on these
Yeah, it's a whole range of different equipment you could take, infrared cameras, you know. But sometimes, you know, at the bottom is just your own eyes, your own ears. But having said that, we're living in the Steven Spielberg age of DreamWorks laboratory, where anything can look suspicious on film. But the same technology can be applied to prove if a ghost is really there, or if it's just a fine thread holding a model of a UFO. So we have to look at technology to back up photographs and people's claims. It's a big, big question.
Yeah, so have you ever been involved in a seance then? I mean, have you ever experimented with such things?
I wouldn't necessarily say that as such. I mean, I don't advocate the use of an Ouija board because it can happen. You're dealing with low-level astral entities, low-level spirits. Again, it may sound fanciful to your viewers, but there is a danger, inherent danger with a Ouija board. I remember once we were working in a case near London where this chest of drawers floated from a wall, moved across the room and fell on my feet.
Incredible.
And I tried to hook it, I'd hooked my finger in the lip of this and I says, this is not going back.
No.
Asked Spirit to take it back, and a few seconds later, there were nobody either side of this chest of drawers. It floated up into there in full view and just went down there to the other side of the room.
Okay.
Incredible.
Okay. And one other quick question before we move on to the UFO casebook is orbs. What's your opinion on the orbs?
The orb phenomena, obviously, we've got a lot of these photographs of what appears to be these balls of light in photographs. For me personally, I could be wrong, I think it's dust molecules or water droplets. When people's in stately homes or dusty castles, as they're moving along the floor, it's releasing these dust. When you take the photograph bang, it bounces back and you get this globule of light. Having said that, there's always a big if, You do get these globes of light appearing, and people say, stop, move to the left, move to the right. And I've seen that happen, and I can't explain that when they suddenly appear, even in crop circles.
Absolutely.
Even in crop circles, these balls of light will come down.
Crop circles, yeah. Well, talking about crop circles, and so this is your second book, UFO Case Files of, sorry, your first book, UFO Case Files of Scotland. So let's just hold that up to the camera. How did this book come about? I mean, what was the reason behind this one?
Well, yeah, again, it had a wealth of data that needed to go somewhere. What you're holding in your hands there, Kevin, is the best low-level, close proximity UFO cases coming from Scotland of objects so close you could have thrown a stone at it. These are not Chinese lanterns, these are not lights in the sky, these are bona fide major cases of close proximity UFO cases. And the stories had to be told.
Right, okay. And just before we leave the subject of the paranormal, is there any tie-in with the paranormal and the UFO sort of subject?
Some people would say yes. We did a case down in Devon some years ago where this lady was infested, if you want to say that word, with paranormal poltergeist activity. Beds moving, wardrobes moving, things disappearing, thrown off the walls. Now, in that same room appeared these small grey creatures. I know it sounds bizarre. What on earth are these guys doing? These small grey creatures, 3.5 to 4 feet tall. Some of them can be taller. And like a childlike body, black, inky, almond-shaped eyes, the pear-shaped heads. Why was what is construed as a UFO phenomena overlapping into a paranormal phenomena? So it was a strange case. That one,
so very briefly for us, just define UFO in your opinion.
Well, it's of an object, obviously unexplained, in the sky that people cannot ascertain what it is. But it is fair to say to your viewers that the vast majority of UFO reports, as much as 95%, can easily be explained. 5% we don't know. 3% of the 5 could be a new, as yet, black budget, our own technology, our own aircraft. 2% remaining. 1 could be a rare atmospheric phenomena. The other percent, I believe, is bona fide UFOs for sure.
Okay, well, what we'll do, just after the advert break, we'll just come back to a lot of the subjects you were just touching there, because they were very fascinating. So, okay, we're going to take a break now, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Malcolm Robinson.
Visit themoreshow.co.uk/shop to purchase products and services from your favourite past guests. If you're new to this site, you can also catch up on the previous television and radio shows through YouTube and the More Show website.
Welcome back. I'm joined by paranormal and UFO investigator Malcolm Robinson. Now, Malcolm, just before the break there, we were talking about the UFO case that you've looked into. Let's have a look at this first picture here that you've got sat with you.
Yeah, this one was taken back in 1994 by Ian Macpherson. He was up at Craiglusker Reservoir near Dunfermline in central Scotland, purely just to take photographs of the scenery. And then he became aware of a resonance noise, this strange pervading noise all over the scene, and he thought initially it was electricity pylons. Not so. He turned round and he was absolutely gobsmacked to be seen by this disc-shaped object hovering, motionless in the sky. And it was like a Victorian bell jar just encased and closed him. He couldn't hear birdsong. He couldn't hear the sound of the traffic from a nearby road. It was just him and this object. This is one of the drawings that he did of the object that he saw. He said the top part was much more deeper. That it telescoped. It went straight into the main body of the object. It flipped and it screamed off into the sky, and it was gone in seconds.
So when was this actual drawing done then, this particular one?
Yeah, well, it was done the same particular night because he tried to capture, remember in all its glory what he had physically saw. And we've had these photographs analysed here in the UK and in America. We checked with the police, with local airports, with national airports, to find out, open up as many doors as possible, Kevin, to get a rational explanation. There were none.
Did his life change after this UFO experience?
It did. I mean, obviously, because it was quite an important sighting, this went into the Scottish Daily Record newspaper, one of the biggest selling newspapers in Scotland, and he wasn't too happy because it says UFO, unidentified Fife object, that's a Mickey take, obviously, subtitled, "I snapped an alien," says Ian. And Ian says, "Malcolm, I didn't say I snapped an alien. all I snapped was a strange object in the sky, and he was very, very unhappy. He got mocked because of this. And this is a sad thing, Kevin, that some people, some witnesses, are frightened to come forward and tell their tales of strange things in the sky because of the fear and the ridicule factor. But thankfully not all. Thanks.
No, that's right. I mean, how many people don't come forward? I mean, that's what you've got to ask.
Well, this is it. For every person that does come forward, how many at the back of them have seen something equally as strange and have not come forward? And that's what we're trying to say to people. Please, please, please come forward. Don't be shy. We need your information.
What do you think we're looking at when we looked at that picture, though?
I don't know, because some people have said it's a frisbee, it's a hubcap. It looks like it. We've got to, you know, you're dealing with witness testimony, and thankfully on this occasion, a photograph. I believe the chap. He's an honest-to-goodness man. People can lie. Police officers can lie. We know that.
Yes.
But I firmly believe, having been in this subject for over 30 years, when people, you can just see it in their persona, you can see it in their perception. He was telling the truth. He didn't know what he saw. He didn't know what he saw.
I mean, are they unmanned? Are they? Well, I say unmanned, but you know, they're robotic or.
Well, this is the thing, Kevin, because it could. Some skeptics have said it may be our own technology. Some of the objects that flew over the Iraqi lines in the first Gulf War looked suspiciously like disc-shaped objects, and all they were was machines to photograph the Iraqi troops and the troop movements. But to any observer, it looks like a disc-shaped object.
But
our own technology.
Saying that, didn't that witness that took those pictures say that it felt like time stood still?
It did. He just was. Jenny Randall's a famous British authoress on UFOs. Had termed it the Oz factor, where people can be in this environment, be in this strange, prickly sensation environment where they don't hear things and everything is just you and the object you're looking at. They call it the Oz factor, and he was in it.
Could it be extremely intelligent beings that are sort of manipulating these crafts, that are controlling them remotely? I mean, what?
Yeah.
Where's your research took you on that?
At this point in time, I do believe we're dealing with a genuine extraterrestrial stroke interdimensional phenomena. It's probably always been with us. They didn't help us build the pyramids, as some people would say. They may well have bases here in the oceans, because some of the best UFO sightings have came from the island of Puerto Rico, of objects coming up under the ocean and then up into the air and equally down into the oceans. Have they bases on this planet? Perhaps. It may be that they're so sophisticated in advanced technology, and you know, they're just, it's like trying to show a caveman a computer.
Yeah.
He couldn't comprehend what this thing, or you know, that type of thing.
Yeah, and again, you know, there's no time and place where these things appear. They just appear, and you know.
Yeah.
Are they? Do you think there could be some sort of spiritual growth in there for the people that they appeared to?
I think people, when they're in low-level, close proximity experiences with these objects, their lives do change. Some people have written poems. They've never been a poet. To start to draw, to paint. Why, goodness, I didn't know I could do that.
So do they choose the people, do you think?
Good question. Do they choose the people? Especially when it comes to UFO abductions, it would appear that some people have been abducted by these grey creatures over a period of years, from early childhood to middle years to even, you know, elderly people. That is why I can't understand why they're taking genetic material from people. Is it an interbreeding program? Who knows? It's a big, big arena, but they are here. I'm very, very convinced that they're a real phenomena occurring in the skies of not only the UK but the world as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sort of big thing to get people's head around, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I mean, if we look at, for instance, this...
Yeah, let's look at this next slide. Yeah, sure.
This one here.
Yeah.
Basically what you're looking at, and the viewers are looking at in a moment on screen, is the underside of an object. It was it was photographed at Polmont Reservoir back in 1991. And there were two gentlemen setting up their camera to take some photographs of the Grangemouth petrochemical plant in Stirlingshire with the gas burning off these big pipes. And then suddenly they saw this light coming from the Ochil Hills very, very quickly, and then it stopped. And about 200 feet above them, this circular-shaped object that your viewers are looking at started to slowly descend upon the heads of these two startled gentlemen. So the chap had to bend over backwards, and what you're looking at is the underside of this object. It was gone. Within a matter of seconds, it screamed off. We could not ascertain what that was through all investigations, dead ends.
But where do you think they're coming from?
Well, this is a $1 million question. They could be. It may not necessarily be extraterrestrial in nature, i.e., coming from
what
distance.
you said before. Yeah.
It could be an interdimensional thing. Because some of these objects have been seen to dematerialize,
Yes.
then rematerialize. So what's going on here? Our physics, we laughed at Marconi, John Logie Baird, we laughed at all these pioneers of science and medicine. We shouldn't laugh at something just because it looks ridiculous. We've got to think out of the box.
In your opinion, then, is a big secret being kept from the public?
I think very much so. I think the governments of this world know far, far more than they're letting on, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's great for the release of the Freedom of Information Act in initially America, then here in the United Kingdom, that we're getting drip-fed all these files, but they know more than they're letting on.
But why are they not letting on?
This is a big question again. Is there something behind it? I mean, some people have said that maybe they're in cahoots, if you want to use that word, with an alien technology for some, back engineering capabilities. It's like Christopher Columbus trying to back engineer a nuclear submarine. Maybe the debris that was found in Roswell and various other crash sites across the world, we're trying to find out how these things work. That's a big maybe. We don't know for sure. But
right.
I think the governments do know more than they're letting on, for sure.
OK, worldwide governments. OK, well, let's just look at the last picture then. And if you just describe this last picture. So let's have a look on the screen now.
Yeah, basically what happened here was back in 1979, a Livingston forestry worker was out tending the woods to ensure that no sheep or cattle strayed into the fields. He encountered this massive, big, dome-shaped object in the woods. Attacked him. It's a big story. But the actual what you're looking at on this painting is we commemorated this particular sighting back 1992, some years later.
Right.
And our psychic was looking. She's in this area. That's her there, and she's looking into the trees, and she says, "Malcolm, come here, come here. Don't you see it?" Don't I see what? And suddenly this face of this grey, we call them the greys, appeared in this like a video picture or something in the woods, and then this red ball of light was weaving in and out of all the trees.
So you saw this, or?
I didn't. That's the thing,
No,
Kevin.
no, she
She
did.
saw it, and this is the psychic. We also work with investigations,
Yeah.
and I'd give her my life. She's absolutely genuine, and she said, "Malcolm, why can't you see this? It's there. It's this ball of light's going round."
Did you want to see it?
Very much so, very much so. And sometimes, even though, as I say, I've had my hair pulled, I've been slapped, I've seen things,
Right.
I want so much to see.
And what's the last message you'd like to give to our audience before the end of this show?
Please, 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 keep an open mind. You've got to understand that we're dealing with something real, something tangible, something that's probably always been with us. And like I said a moment ago, just because something looks suspicious and looks ridiculous, doesn't mean to say that it is so. These things are real.
Well, Malcolm, thank you so much for joining us. OK, for more information on my guest, Malcolm, visit my website, themoreshow.co.uk, and search for Malcolm Robertson under Past Guests. Well, don't go anywhere, as I'll be meeting Colin Fry in his hotel suite for a fascinating discussion on life after death. So see you after the break.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The More Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.